Approach segment. We'll talk about the different instrument approach segments, parts of an instrument approach. Now let's start with imagining an IFR flight. You are en route to your destination. At your en route altitude, there has to be a way for you to come from that en route altitude to the instrument approach. There has to be some connection between them, right? Yes, you are right. We talked about stars, our arrival procedures, but the problem is sometimes these stars end up beginning at very high altitudes and they have high performance requirements, which most general aviation aircrafts cannot comply with. We have something called feeder routes for them. Feeder routes also begin in the en route structure and help you bring closer to the instrument approach by bringing you towards the initial approach fix of an instrument approach. These are called feeder routes. When an instrument approach has a feeder route, you can use the feeder route to get you to the initial approach fix. If an instrument approach does not have a feeder route and you cannot perform a star, you can always request for radar vectors from the ATC because ATC can do that. They can provide you radar vectors to the initial approach fix or to the final approach course beyond something called the approach gate. I'll talk about approach gate in a video, but it's not really something that you should be worried about. Basically, ATC can provide you radar vectors to the final approach course. Then you reach the initial approach fix. This diagram talks about the different fixes. The initial approach fix is where the instrument approach actually begins. From initial approach fix, you have the initial approach segment, which ends at the intermediate fix. From the intermediate fix, you have the intermediate segment, which ends at the final approach fix. Then you have the final approach segment, which ends at the missed approach point. From the missed approach point, you have the missed approach segment, which goes on to the missed approach holding fix. Now, this is the general layout of an instrument approach. We'll talk about certain exceptions when an intermediate fix is marked and not marked. Sometimes the final approach fix is not marked. Then what to do? We will go over those examples. Don't worry, I got you. Right now, focus on the previous video in which I said that there is a difference between precision and non-precision approach, and that difference lies in the final approach segment. So let's take a look at how a precision approach is different from a non-precision approach just for the final approach segment.